2025 has been a crazy year. Some things that we didn't expect and some things that we were prepared for. And we are currently at the end of Q2 going into Q3. I want to do a quick recap of what Q2 looked like and what we're expecting in Q3 and what we're going to be working on in Q3. Vic, do you have anything regarding Q2?
Q2 was a great quarter. Lionsgate Realty, we had some of our agents have already hit their caps. They're working extremely hard, and they're pushing forward. Our more experienced agents, I will say, have struggled a little bit adjusting to the market. Our new inexperienced agents that don't really know better are selling and growing. And there's no really rhyme or reason, right? Just because you have experience doesn't mean that you're struggling, and just because you're new doesn't mean that you're successful. The thing is that there are buyers out there, and if you take that mental block of, oh, rates are higher, the market's slow, or whatever, you take all that away from your mental, then you're going to be able to produce and in the way that you should. And it's out there. My agents are doing great, and some agents that I expected to do better aren't doing as well. So, like I said, there's no rhyme or reason. My advice, clear advice, is just take off whatever mental blocks you have, and work, because the work's out there.
So one thing that I've noticed specifically in Q2, because everybody was hoping or people were preaching that rates were going to drop in Q2. And of course, we don't sell on rates, but just for the market's sake in itself, right? One thing that I've noticed in Q2 is the fact that it's either realtors are making a lot of money or realtors are making no money. And I feel like there is no middle line. Like, nobody's safe right now. It's either you make a lot or you make nothing. It's one thing that I've been noticing. And I think it's because not necessarily of people selling on the rates or realtors that have that rate stuck in their head. I think that experienced realtors, going back to what you said, Vic, have probably sold to their whole pipeline and didn't work on building or maintaining a new pipeline. And new realtors, well, their pipeline is untouched. So they've been able to sell to that pipeline. What do you guys think about that?
I think that the people that have the so-called experience, right? They're buying into the rhetoric, right, or the hype, right? They're listening to the Ricky Caroots, they're listening to the BAMs, they're listening to all these podcasts, and they hear, oh, we're saturated with inventory. Oh, the interest rates are super high. Oh, the market is softening and flattening. And it's one of the reasons why I really dislike Ricky, right? Because he gives information, and his I guess his audience is vast, right? So he's talking about his market, about what he sees around himself, and he's telling everybody this, and they think that that's happening here, but it's not happening here. And just like you just said earlier, right? You have realtors that have been in this business 2 years, 1 year, and they're killing it. Why are they killing it? Because they don't know no better. They don't know to look for Ricky. They don't know to look for BAM. They don't know to do any of these things. They're just doing whatever their managers or their brokers are telling them to do.
I don't think I'd feel comfortable sitting on a real estate podcast dogging these two specific groups.
I was going to say, I don't think I've ever heard Ricky or BAM say that, what you just said.
Yeah, because so Ricky does something.
Well, I just heard Ricky say that. So
Ricky does. So that's what I was going to tell you.
And I'm not dogging him. I'm saying exactly what they're saying.
Ricky said that the market was dead.
So Ricky said that the market was saturated. We had too much, and that we're going to start prices decrease. That's what he was saying.
All right. So
yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah.
So what he does is troll, like consistently troll. So like he does his. I know you're practicing his yell. Do it for me.
Woo! I think you got to get past the hook.
Yeah,
if y'all watch the rest of the video
past,
or no?
If you get past his initial 5-second response, what he says is,
all right, so,
yes, the market's saturated. Yes, prices will dip. But like in that specific video that somebody shared in our group that we were both in, somebody shared that video, and closer to the middle or into that video, he says, this is a great time. This is a great time to reach out to sellers and let them know you can upgrade in your neighborhood for a good price. Or you can downsize. You may take a little bit of a haircut, but you can get a better deal somewhere. So this is your time to move. So his hook is trolling. His hook is, if you're buying into the BS and that's what you want to hear, he turns it on you in the middle of the video.
Well, thank you for explaining that to me. So the thing is that, if he's trolling or not, nobody's listening to all his freaking his hook, right? They're just hear what he's saying at the beginning. They're not listening to the end. Well, you're listening, right?
I listen too.
But you see,
who gets what?
You're listening. And
Kayla, what about you? Did you listen?
I listened the whole thing, and then at the end, he kind of writes and on Instagram right at the end, comment whatever strategy, whatever to get whatever he's.
And he's claiming that it's turning into a buyer's market. So essentially what he's doing is he's trying to create a market. And what sucks is that he's not creating a market where he's at, because where he's at, he's just Ricky, right? It's just like, here, everybody knows who we are, right? But people that hear him out of his area, right? They listen to him. They think he knows what he's talking about. They respect what he says. And they're the ones that are suffering, because just like Kayla right now, Kayla heard, oh shoot, the market's saturated, interest rates are high. Oh my God!
I don't know.
And
I think you gotta let Kayla speak
you
for
gotta let
herself.
Kayla, is that what you
She's
heard?
on the
No,
pod
at
as
first
well.
that is what he said. He said that the market was saturated and then there needed to be price adjustments. But then I don't remember word for word, but at the end he's like, common strategy to get how I'm doing this and how to price.
But let me
The
ask you
homes.
guys, right? Let's remove this away from Ricky, because it's not a podcast about Ricky Caruth. If you guys want to know what he does, you go watch him, right? But what I'm talking about, something that you've mentioned, Nate, which you're saying that it's not a buyer's market, and I'm not making a statement here personally. It's not a buyer's market, and the market is not adjusting to the community. Well, in Houston, according to the facts, there's in certain communities, not all of Houston, because we do have different areas that move differently, but there is certain areas, is it not a fact, where the market for sellers is softening, meaning that it is a buyer's market on that end. Is that not what we're seeing and what we're telling some realtors?
So, like I said on 3 podcasts ago now, there's 12 markets in Houston that I've counted so far. There could be more, but there's 12 markets, and it's only a buyer's market in about 3 of those markets. Okay, everybody else is still a seller's market. It's still great deals. Prices are still high, and nobody's coming down, and the houses are selling.
I think it's backwards. I think the city of Houston, we have, I think, 3 of the top 10 cities in America in Houston, and those will continue to be a seller's market.
Those are the cities.
Those are the seller's market. But the rest of them are buyer's markets. So that's why I said it's backwards.
No, I don't agree with that.
Three areas are strong seller markets:
What are the areas?
the Woodlands, Pearland, Katy. Still strong seller markets.
You're talking about huge markets. I'm talking about, and once again, this is why I keep telling you, you need to brush up on your macroeconomics, because
you're breaking down Houston into 12. That's big.
There's 12 markets. That's not big.
That's huge.
That's super small.
Huge.
No, it's not. So once again,
There's 12 micro markets here in Klein.
For the sake of argument, right, and for the sake of time, right. Obviously, you haven't done your research on it. I have. There's 12 markets right here in Houston, okay? And I'm telling you, there's it's not a buyer's market yet. It's not. And
what do you consider a buyer's market?
That's what I was gonna say.
And we're at the cusp of it.
Because you're talking about your opinion. So in your opinion, what's a buyer's market?
Listen, hold on. We're at the cusp of it, and it's going to happen soon. And you know what? And I'm not even gonna say it's gonna happen soon. It can happen soon. It's all based on what's happening. When we're gonna find out if it's gonna be a buyer's market, it's gonna be the beginning of Q3. That's when we'll find out if it will have a Q3 with the buyer's market, or if it's gonna shift toward that way, or if it's gonna stay the way that it is. Okay. And the thing is this. We don't know that yet, but people are predicting it, and they're trying to get ahead of it so they could look like gurus and prophets. And it's all these people that are not even in this area that can actually do the research and say, hey, you know what? We're turning into a buyer's market. We don't know yet.
I mean, we're already a buyer's market. That's what I'm asking. In your opinion, what is a buyer's market? Because the facts in real estate, it's already a buyer's market.
The buyer's market is exactly what a buyer's market is. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and sit down and tell you what a buyer's market is. We know what it is. I'm telling you that we're not in a buyer's market yet.
Okay, hold on. Let's split
There's only
this up
3 markets here that.
Let's split it up here, right? Because we're splitting hairs and we're going back and forth of whether this is a buyer's market or not. But we're explaining it, looking at the numbers, right? I personally, and my realtors within my team, I'm gonna go ahead and drop this disclaimer. We are on the east side of Houston, so I'm dropping that disclaimer. That area, unless you're going super deep and you're going above 500,000, that area is still considered a buyer's market. Sellers are doing deals. It does not mean the sellers are losing money. I'm not saying that the market's crashing. The market is softening. Sellers are a little bit more negotiable at the time, and buyers, for what they want, we're having awesome deals for our buyers. Is that not true?
Yeah, let's ask the real question here. Kayla, are we in a buyer's market?
I believe so.
Okay. So what makes you think that?
Sellers are giving a lot more concessions. Builders are giving a lot of incentives. I just feel like even when you're doing showings, the listing agents are calling you. They're following up. Like they want to do the deal. Like they're the one following up. They want the sell.
Okay.
Because they're not giving enough traction. They want buyers. They're not getting enough deals done.
Okay. And Jovani, you said there's a buyer's market because why?
I said on my side of town.
On your side of town, yes. Because why?
I said because right now sellers are open to negotiate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Everyone's giving concessions. I mean, the sellers no longer have the leverage they used to have.
Okay. So the thing is builders are giving, and the thing is that they've always have. They're giving more now.
Yeah.
They're giving more now, definitely. But the builders always have given concessions. They've always given,
I never said builders.
I'm not talking about builders.
I said sellers.
I'm saying builders. So if you talk about resale wise, we're not in a buyer's market yet. The people still have not.
I mean, that's
But
not
what
true.
makes you think that?
That is not
You
true.
have- you have yet to say any reason why you think it's not that.
The sellers has still not conceded that they're gonna lose.
Whether
They
the
still
seller's
haven't-
in
They don't
denial
have
or
to
not
lose.
doesn't matter.
It
And
does
see, I think this is the
less-
part that everybody's missing. The sellers don't have to lose. They're still 30% up from where they bought 5-6 years ago. Just because they
Okay.
have to give up an extra 2%, they're still up 28%.
So listen-
it doesn't mean that the seller's losing.
Listen. The sellers have still not conceded that we're going to turn into a buyer's market.
Bro.
They still keeping their prices high. They still want to get their money. They still want to get what they want. That's why we're having more days on the market. If the days on the market were less, okay, that means people are dropping prices and selling and giving concessions, and then it turns into a buyer's market. It's not a buyer's market
No,
yet.
it wasn't like that in 2010, 2012, 2016, even 2020.
It was.
No.
Nate, I think what you're talking about is a crash.
No,
If everybody's giving
no.
out,
We're not
if
gonna have a
everybody's
crash.
giving up, yeah, no, I'm not saying
And it wasn't a
we're
crash.
giving
2010. We were coming up on 2010. The market was going up.
What I'm saying is that what you're talking about is that every seller is giving out concessions. Every seller is dropping price. What I'm saying is there's people with freaking 2% interest rates that are not going to sell their house. They're not going to drop the price on their house. They'll put it on the market. Doesn't mean that they're going to sell it. However, the people that do want to sell and they do need to upgrade or downgrade, they are the ones who are open to negotiate. Every single house is not going to negotiate. I would say that is not a buyer's market. I would say that is a crashing market. If everybody's willing to give up whatever, right? Now, you do have to do your job as a realtor and find the people who are willing to do that. That is where our job comes in, to negotiate. But that the market is soft, at least on the east side, I'll speak for that, right? My disclaimer, that's where I work. That's my stomping ground. On that side of town, especially areas like Crosby, even if we're not talking about new construction, the sellers, if they want to sell their house, they will negotiate because they have to. We're in that market.
The strongest seller market that I've ever been a part of was COVID. Days on market were literally zero. You're sitting here and saying that because the days on market numbers are increasing, that shows that that's still a seller's market. I mean, that is like completely contradicts the strongest seller market that we've ever seen.
Wait, explain yourself again.
You said the days on market are lasting longer. That's why it's still a seller's market. I'm saying
that's not what I said.
Well,
I said that,
it's recorded,
I
so
said,
we can clip it later.
I didn't say
Kayla,
that,
what did you
I didn't say
understand?
that. That's what. Hold on. Let me finish that. Because he's saying stuff that I didn't say.
You said
I
it.
said
He's putting words
I
in your
said
mouth.
the homes are on the market longer, right? Because people have not conceded.
And I said a seller
that's why
being
we're not-
delusional doesn't mean that it's not a seller's market.
I'm gonna show you guys. I can't show you on a podcast. I'll have to show you in person. See, this is why it's good to have really strong-minded. Hold on, listen. It's really good to have strong-minded realtors on your company that know the market very well. But at the end of the day, you can't deny what the market looks like. I've seen the market. I've seen these things. I've predicted these things. I'm telling you. I'll show you. But
Bro.
I can't show you on the podcast.
I mean, you tailor your arguments to however it needs to be. Our realtors are getting paid more than they've ever gotten paid.
That has nothing to do with the buyer's market.
It's
That has to do with
who pays
that has
us?
to do with the commission
Who pays
structure.
us?
It has to do with NAR.
No, it has to do
It has
because
to
the
do-
sellers
it
are
has-
willing to pay us more.
it has to
The
do with
builders
NAR.
are willing to
Hold
pay
on,
us
hold
more.
on,
Everyone
hold
is
on.
willing to pay.
We just left somebody right now.
Everyone's willing to pay for a buyer.
Listen, somebody
so
just
it is
left,
a buyer's
somebody
market.
Just left,
Buyers have all the leverage. They have all the control.
Somebody just left this podcast and said, okay, that they gave up their commission to close a deal, okay?
You didn't ask her when that was.
Hold on. It doesn't matter when it was.
Well, that means
more than likely it was during COVID.
It doesn't matter when it was.
It
It
does.
was before NAR, okay? It was before NAR. So when NAR changed, the commissions have changed
How
for
do you know
everybody.
if it does? How do you know if it doesn't matter when?
when NAR changed, the commissions changed. Okay, so our commissions have gone up because of the NAR settlement because we're no longer binded by MLS commissions. Okay, so that has nothing to do. I mean, everything what you guys are saying, it makes sense, right? But it's not. I'm telling you. I'll show
I
you.
want you to say exactly what makes you think that it's.
So
not.
the thing is this, right? I have to pull up my computer, all right, and I have to show it to you guys. I have to show you guys because once again, this is a prediction. This is what I see. This is what I'm looking at.
But you don't have to predict it. We're in it.
I'm not in the trenches with you guys. I have a vantage point and I see things. And I'm telling you this. We're not in a buyer's market yet. And I'll tell you when we are.
Okay, so define a buyer's market.
The buyer's market is what it is. I'm not gonna sit here. I mean, that's like me telling you.
Define
That's not me telling you. Hey, that's freaking ridiculous. We know what a buyer's market is.
No, because
we know what a buyer's market is.
Buyers don't know what a buyer's market is. So right now, buyers who aren't informed, right? They're like, oh no, I don't want to buy right now because I'm waiting for the market to crash or I'm waiting for rates to drop so I can buy. So buyers can buy.
Jovani, what is a buyer's market?
A buyer's market is whenever it's open for negotiation on the buyer side. Whenever you can make deals for the buyer. COVID was not a buyer's market. Could they get awesome interest rates below? No, but they were also paying above market price. So would you consider that a market,
listen,
a buyer's market?
No, it was a seller's market. But
Exactly.
what you're saying is a buyer's market is whenever the buyers are open for negotiations.
Not buyers, seller.
The sellers are open for negotiations. They are always open for negotiations. Even during COVID, the freaking people were giving builders were giving commissions and concessions and stuff. Right now,
we're not taking new construction into consideration.
Right now, the resale people are not just giving up freaking concessions, bro.
They are.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
they are.
you're not competing with 100 other offers like how we used to be.
Oh, I mean that's a whole different subject.
I mean, you're leading to believe that our market right now is still in our COVID market, and we all know that it's a whole new market.
You guys are gaslighting me.
No,
that's not what I'm saying.
I'm telling you that sellers have lost all their leverage, and if a seller is delusional, that's on the seller.
Listen,
one at a time.
Our market has adjusted. Our market has come right back to where it needs to be. All right, but right now we're not in a seller's market or buyer's market. Sorry, we're not in it.
Damn, almost had it right. Almost had it right. You were right there, Nate. You were right there.
Once again, let's have a conversation that Kayla can be a part of, please. And whenever we're done, listen. Whenever we're done,
hey, Kayla's a 10-year veteran in this business. She can speak on
listen. Whenever I'm done, I'll school you two up because obviously I still need some freaking training. Go ahead.
You wish.
I'll show you off camera.
I'm gonna show you the maps off camera.
No, I'll show you.
I mean, I'm curious too.
I'll put it together.
I'm curious
for you guys.
now.
I'll put it together. Yeah, no, seriously, we're not in the buyer's market. We're going to be there, and everybody's jumping ahead of it and trying to act like they're going to predict or like they know. It's not there. It's not.
Yeah, I'd say I'll stick to my point. There's three strong markets in Houston still actively that you're not going to negotiate it on. If you can show me that it's not a buyer's market outside of those three, then I'll formally apologize on this pod.
Yeah,
but
you don't have to do that.
Take away Katy, take away the Woodlands, take away Pearland. Use your other 8, 9, whatever markets that you have. Show me it's not a buyer's market. That no concessions, low days on market. Flashy. I just don't see it.
Okay.
I mean, I literally just had a conversation with one of my realtors who's a deal that they're trying to negotiate, and pretty much the listing agent told them that they're going to take they're willing to take a $60,000 cut off the listing price. So
listen, that doesn't mean that that's just the realtor that is scared. It's a realtor that took a freaking
it doesn't matter how we get there. It doesn't matter how the cake is baked.
Listen,
whether it's stove oven or
this is
brick oven.
No, this is something we've been seeing a lot of. Okay,
I do agree with you on that.
We see realtors taking these freaking listings at ridiculous prices, and they do it just to get the listing. And we're seeing it more and more because the realtors no longer have anything to offer. They don't have the training. They don't have the ability to do these things. So the only thing they can do is give me the listing. Once they get the listing, okay, now let's freaking cut it down $50,000, $60,000. It was supposed to be there to begin with. That's not a freaking.
I agree.
Wait, hold on. You think my realtor is taught to go look at a house for whatever price it is and be like, oh yeah, no, it's not listed above market value? My realtor would not show a house that's over $60,000 above market.
What we're saying,
they're not gonna do that. Yeah,
what we're saying is that our agents are, and yours, our agents are taught to run their comps. So we're going to know that the house is $60,000 overpriced to begin with. and we're going to send an offer accordingly and send our comps accordingly and say that's right. We're going to stand on our word.
Yeah, but
the seller's not going to get offended. The seller, we're going to have a friendly joust, and I'm going to let them know that I want my commissions paid, that I want my concessions, that I want my stuff, and I have leverage over the seller. I have something the seller wants, which is a buyer.
Yeah, but you're also not taking into consideration. Not saying that your realtors are not trained. Also, what you're not taking into consideration is that the market is freaking jerky. You know, there's people listing properties at high values. There's people selling cash or selling new builds in older neighborhoods, and it throws off the comps. There's actually homes that is tough to get comps on, and these people are comping them up higher. And you can also find those kind of comps if you're being optimistic. But in reality, to a trained realtor or a person that, and I don't want to just say trained realtor, a realtor has been in the business for a long time, can actually find the actual value, or even have to consult, because I have had to consult lately with appraisers to find appraisal because we just can't find it anymore. But once again, we're going off topic. Let's go back to our topic and let's...
I think this is a good point right here, what you just said, because what you're saying is true. And that's what Vick teaches the managers, and that's what the managers teach the realtors. So whenever I'm talking about these big discounts, I'm not talking about a realtor going to go show a house that they know it's overpriced. It is properly priced accordingly, and they're surprised that they're willing to take an extra $60,000 off of it being priced accordingly because the seller cannot sell. My realtors don't go show houses overpriced $60,000 or whatever it may be. So what you're saying is true. That's what we teach here. And what I'm saying is that even with that training, we're finding houses that are priced accordingly, and we're still able to get that.
Yeah. I mean, we're finding houses that are priced accordingly, and the appraisal's not coming up.
37%.
We're talking about something else.
There's a crazy study, which I haven't verified, but there's a pretty active broker here in the north side. 37% of the houses on the market right now are in forbearance in the Houston area.
I
heard that.
The sellers are desperate, and they have lost all their leverage. And that is a true buyer's market. And it's not a prediction. It is where we're living in today.
I just found that out when I started probably about 3 or 4 months ago when I started seeing short sales. And I was like, short sale? I said, why are we freaking doing short sales? There's values. And then I didn't know so many people had taken forbearances. That's wild. That's wild. But still doesn't make a freaking...
And I do want to make it very clear and end off on this point, and we'll go over into our predictions for Q3. I do want to make it very clear. This is not mean a market crash.
No.
It's not what we're debating here. A buyer's market, a seller's market is not a market crash. Two different things. So you buyers, if you are a buyer listening to this, you probably shouldn't be. This is a realtor podcast.
But I keep telling you, I don't know why you want to talk about this.
This is for the realtors to know.
I think that the buyers have leverage, and they should exploit these sellers the way the sellers exploited the buyers.
Damn.
Some of these sellers were unreasonable during COVID, and these buyers had to sit on the sideline, which I advise some clients to sit on the sideline. And right now is your time to get your money.
And the realtors need to know this, that they can negotiate and ask for everything that they want for their buyers. Don't feel like you're que te estás pasando. No, it doesn't matter. Ask for everything that you want for your buyers. Ask for everything that they need within reasonable range, right? Now, if you want to be unreasonable right now, it's okay to be unreasonable. What's the worst thing they're going to tell you is no, but you negotiate for it and you never know what you're going to get. Because right now, some of these people are desperate. And you have to make sure that you know your market. Every market is not like that, even here in Houston. No. So moving into Q3, I think we all came into agreement. I'm not going to say what the agreement was, but we came into agreement. You figure it out.
You figure out what we agreed on.
You comment below what kind of market you think
exactly.
it
is.
Comment below.
You do the math. We're going to move into Q3 predictions. What do you guys think Q3 is going to look like?
I'm not as optimistic as I was at the beginning of the year, but you can go both ways. We had some high interest rate swings one way or the other, but what I've seen in the last 2 weeks, I've seen more cash offers come through. There's more private money entering the market at sometimes better rates than the banks were offering, which has been like a huge upside. I personally haven't seen that since 2010, 2012 in that range, where private money's coming out, friends and family, their kids are tired of waiting, parents are taking pensions, 401ks out for their children. Well, they're not, they're going to die with that money. They might as well buy a house for their kids or whatever it is. I'm watching a lot of those scenarios happen. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the cash offers and good cash offers, not some unrealistic, crazy thing. So historically for us, I think Nate could agree, Q3 has always been a big quarter for Lionsgate Realty. We're super busy and everyone's working, and I hope to follow that same feat this year.
One thing that I was listening to, which of course Nate's probably gonna tell me to stop listening to podcasts, but I was listening to a podcast, and as a matter of fact, it came from BAM. But they were saying that the reason why Q3 people always push that it's gonna be hot is because they're looking at what happened in Q2, and they're saying that those numbers are what people justify to say that Q3 is a hot market, but not in reality. And I was like, well, at least what I've experienced is the opposite, right? Q3 for me is always hot, simply because of the nature of my clientele. But what do you guys think about that?
I don't think the quarters really coincide.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think the preparation and the work you do year over year really coincides and really kind of changes a lot of things. I think what we've always said, or what I always said, is like if people have a hot summer, they get lazy and enjoy their winter.
That's the only thing that I've ever seen, but it's not. I don't think it's a real formula. I just noticed that, and that's just personal, or like in our company and just in our industry. I noticed that when somebody has a really great summer, they will have a horrible win. They'll
put it off to next year.
Put it off to next year. And when people have a bad winter, a bad summer, like if our Q3 is like really bad, the freaking end of the year will be freaking awesome. I mean, we had an awesome summer. I think it was 2022, 23. I don't know what. We had an awesome. A winter. We had an awesome winter. The Christmas. I mean, we were freaking showing houses and selling in New Year's almost.
Yeah, I think I closed the house like my birthday and then Christmas. I think I had 3 closings in December. I can't remember the last time. Yeah. I used to make this bad joke when I was younger that I said from Halloween to like January 1st. Good luck finding me. I like to take a little time off, and to close 3 in 1 month. Or in the month of December was really new to me, but it was something. It wasn't just us, it was with the company. We all worked hard. Rates dropped just enough for us to get some deals in line.
What do you predict for Q3?
Well, I'm feeling a little optimistic. I feel like I've always had hot summers, but I guess it all just comes down to putting the work, like you said.
Kayla said it's a hot girl summer.
I was just about to
here.
say
Let's go.
It always is hot summer.
I'm actually with Vic. We came into the year like, man, we're gonna have an awesome year because of honestly, we had a good year last year.
Yeah.
We have been up since when we made good money during COVID time. But after COVID in the next year, we literally had to sit down and said, nah, bro, that was an anomaly. Like we're gonna, let's brace ourselves for some kind of a decline. And no, we literally went up 22%, and then for the whole year, I think we went up on Q3 was. Actually, our Q1 was awesome.
We went up 32% 1 year and then 37% year over year growth. So we had great additions to the company. We had great growth all around, but it all goes from putting in the work. None of this was preparation and putting in the work.
But this year we have had almost record Q1 and Q2. Q2 is not over, but our months are freaking crazy. Some of our realtors have already capped out, they've made all their money. So
it just goes to show putting in the work.
Yeah, but I don't know where we're going for Q3 because of just the civil unrest and all the problems that are happening. I don't know how that's going to affect us. And I've said that before. I say,
there's variables we can't control. Yeah, that are going to affect the market indefinitely. Yeah. So we got to play that by ear.
Yeah, we can't control that. But I'm less optimistic, not because of the realtors that I have or because of my the training we have, because of our company. I'm just not sure because of what's happening just in the world, right? But if things change or if everything gets in order, right? Which of course nothing ever gets in order, but if things just get better, right? I think we're going to have a good Q3. I know that, like Vic was saying, and I've always said that, anytime that interest rates go above 6%, the private investors come out the woodwork because then it starts looking appealing for them. So, what are we at right now, Vic? 8? Mm-hmm. So we're
7.5%, 8%, but you have a point swing. So,
man, we have investors all over the place just trying to give money, lend money, and and you have eager investors that don't follow the economy, don't follow real estate, don't look at podcasts, and they're ready. They want to make money.
We have a lot of these actual boomers, and I like to mess with Nate every now and then. But what's before boomers? They're not active, right? No,
I don't know.
Boomers would be
the last generation. Yeah.
So
I don't think it's anybody else.
Shout out to my boy Harvey from New York. I met him. I met an old guy at a coffee bar here in city Houston, and I don't drink coffee at all. So the fact that I met this guy, he owns a lot of houses in Galveston, and he was explaining to me how he lends money and how the 4% like works for him. And he's the one that explained to me how he was lending money to some of these guys at 6 to 7%. Because the market is attractive. He goes, it's backed by real estate. I love real estate. I'm willing to own. He's 97 years old and he is still, working, lending and flying. So, great guy, super cool. He's the one that kind of put me onto that. And now he's going to push his clients to, use Lionsgate Realty as agents as well. So that private money, business, and when we talk private money, everyone thinks hedge funds or like sometimes it could just be an old guy that has cash that's willing to lend it to you and put a lien on your property and lend just like a regular bank. So make those connections and talk to those people because you never know where your next deal is coming from and how can help your business all around.
I'm a little optimistic for Q3 simply because I do feel that everybody who's been holding off for this year, hoping the rates were going to drop down to 5, I think they're actually coming to terms with what the realization is and what it's actually realistic out here is that rates aren't going to drop anytime soon, at least not below that 6.5 or whatever it may be. So I think that pent up is going to come out during this Q3. And I think there's going to be some reasonable buyers. Some might just apply and they might not look like the numbers, but it'll be more applications. And I think there will be more active buyers on the market is what I'm looking at for Q3.
I agree.
Interest rates really have never been an obstacle for me, right? I just think that everybody should look at interest rates as a price hold, right? And like you said, if interest rates keep going at this level, we will turn into a buyer's market. And the thing is that that should hold the price for you or lower the price for you and hold people off, and you could get good deals in this time. And then when interest rates change, you're refinancing an asset that you already own versus going into the market and competing with everybody. And that's what I don't understand. Like, didn't anybody see the freaking havoc that 3% commission? 3% interest rates started, and 3% interest rates really hurt a lot of people. A lot of people bought expensive to where now we have short sales, and it's wild. That I didn't even know that had happened.
And one thing that I've been saying for the longest, anytime that I had a client ask me about rates, I've told them, I was like, I personally don't see them dropping below that 6.5 simply because the market can't handle it. Like, there's not enough inventory for that. And people do go on the market for that. Everybody who was pent up waiting for it to drop below that, especially if we drop at a 4 or a 5, whatever it is, it's just going to cause havoc again, like you were saying, Nate. So it only makes sense that the economy is going to keep us at these higher rates simply because our housing market cannot handle lower rates. Like, it needs to clear out people who are just looking to buy just because it was cheap. Like, people who need to buy, that's who's buying or selling right now, and that's what the market should look like.
So let me ask a question to Kayla here, right? And because there's an associate industry of ours, right, that I'm super pissed off with because they've gone sky high and offered no coverage. What the heck is going on with the insurance industry? Why the heck are they dropping insurance for my houses on the east side and the south side? Why are they charging me $7,000 for freaking...
Too many claims close to the coast. They just don't want to cover claims. It's just like happening all over Texas. And it's mostly like Baytown, like all that area in the south. They just don't want to cover. It's just a higher risk, and people are I think more than ever filing claims more than they were doing 2-3 years ago.
You know who I blame for that? All these roofing companies.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
These roofing companies are horrible. In my opinion, they're predatory. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're knocking doors every time there's a hailstorm, any storm. They're knocking doors and doing free inspections and convincing these people to file claims.
Yeah, you know how many text messages I got after the storm that passed by, and I didn't even get no hail over here. I don't know where they're.
Oh, the one recent.
Yeah, I got a bunch of text messages.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like, what the heck? What's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
I'm like, no, I'm good.
So it's the roofers that.
Dang.
Well, I'm not
Hold
saying
on.
it's the roofers.
No,
I'm
it's the
saying
roofing.
it's just like all these claims that are
Look,
coming in. It's just like they're not. It's like they don't want to keep spending money on all these claims, so they just rather drop you.
Let's just call it what it is. Just like wholesalers are trying to ruin the real estate industry, roofers are trying to ruin. They find a niche. They find a little. They find a little niche where they can make some money, some quick cash, and they just beat it up until
My roofer friends are gonna be mad.
Yeah. So you got roofer friends. So you're the part of the problem, man.
Well, one thing that I would probably say is my theory on this, which I don't even know if we have enough numbers for that, but people who move down here from other states that don't know how to deal with hurricanes or certain things that happen to the houses during that season are filing the claims, because if you said it's in the last 3 years, well, then it's everybody who relocated down here. I think that could be a solid theory. But
I don't know.
I blame it on Californians.
Bro,
Dang.
hey, but they
think
have
it's everybody.
earthquakes. They have earthquakes and fires, bro. I mean, they're used to natural disasters too.
I mean, you don't know how many people I get calling me and wanting quotes, and they specifically ask, like, they want the deductibles where later on they could file claims. So
No way.
yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
it's like they already are in this mentality where they know they're going to file a claim at some point.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, in today's podcast, we learned. Well, we'll let you figure out what you learned. At least
We learned that we
are.
are in a balanced market because me and Nate couldn't agree.
We learned that one person gets all his information from podcasts and another one gets it from ChatGPT while on the podcast.
Well, ChatGPT and podcasts are great ways for you to get your information.
You know what? Hey,
you
hold
have to
on.
vet it.
Hold on. Before we get off of this thing, me and Vic had, and maybe something we can agree on, I don't know. Me and Vic had a Zoom call with an investor, right, from San Jose, right?
Uh-huh.
And he was throwing numbers at us from some performer he put together based on numbers he ChatGPT'd. Not only that, he ChatGPT'd us and literally just like stuff that I put on. remember when I used to have that horror website thing and I used to put all this stuff on there? He was regurgitating things that I put like a long time ago. I don't even know where he found that. He got all that from ChatGPT. I think he just tapped ChatGPT. Hey, who's Nate Balderas and Victor Cortez at Lionsgate Realty? I mean, yeah, man, because you started in the industry in 2007. I said, no, I started a real estate company in 2007. You know, like so whatever ChatGPT gave him was wrong. Was it not, Vic?
I mean,
The numbers?
I don't know. He bragged about me, so nah.
Vic said, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was like,
I mean-
bro, nah. No, he did. But he did. He admitted to it.
Yeah,
You know, it's not
yeah.
like he said. It's not like he hit it. The dude said that. You know.
You know what?
He admitted that he
You're
put
right.
it on ChatGPT?
He did.
He did.
Yeah, I heard him.
But you know what? You're right, Vic. At least he was humble enough to admit, right?
Yeah.
That he did topical information and not freaking do topical information and stand on freaking business like Jovani. Like he freaking knows what the hell he's talking about.
What are you talking about, me? Look,
Nothing.
first of all,
All right, go ahead.
Hey, I don't know why you want to attack all your people that come in today.
Exactly.
There's a limit that they could be on camera, and I know that he's
Bro,
reached it.
this
Yeah,
is like
it's
the
already
fourth
reached
freaking podcast, man. I'm like,
One thing I will say, guys,
It's
ChatGPT
toxico
is not the answer, but it is a tool, and use it wisely. Learn how to use it. It's part of your toolbox.
Like-
Right? That's all it is.
So
It's
is
not the
Jovani.
answer.
Like I explained, I explained ChatGPT to my awesome uncle here, and I said, you know, they invented a shovel. My boy's still trying to dig it with his hands, you know.
Hey, bro.
So it's a tool for you to utilize to help you in your business. You know, the shovel's not going to dig for you, right? You still got to dig.
Yeah.
And then you have to learn how to use a shovel the right way too. There's a right way to use a shovel for those of you who used to dig ditches. All right, we're gonna go ahead and exit out here. Kayla, let everybody know where they can find you. As a matter of fact, let me apologize because I didn't let you introduce yourself.
That's terrible.
Dang.
But go ahead, let everybody know where they can find you. Okay.
You can find me at KEILAA Leal, LEAL. That's my Instagram.
And what do you do?
I am a real estate agent and insurance agent.
Awesome.
Great.
Falling.
My name is Victorino Cortez. I am the president here at Lionsgate Realty. I just want to end and let you guys know that it is a buyer's market. I'm just kidding. It is a balanced market. All right.
It's not balanced.
It is balanced.
It's leaning
We
towards
need
one way.
Nate to show us like.
I'm
with
gonna show
facts.
you.
All right, look. I'm gonna stay right here.
We're not leaving.
This is not part of the exit.
If it is not a balanced market, then it is leaning towards a buyer's market.
It is leaning towards the buyer's market. I said that, but I said that people are trying to jump ahead and claim that it is, so that they can say, "Oh, look, I predicted it." But you
My
know
boy
what?
switched up
We're
on
not
your real
leaving.
time, baby. Let's
we
go.
have it on recording. So listen to this right now. After the
just mad 'cause Ricky
podcast,
beat you to it.
we're gonna sit here in 1 hour and we're gonna get on the freaking board, and I'm gonna show you from real data what kind of market we're in.
It's data.
So my name is.
Exit out, Nate. Exit out.
Oh
All right.
my
So
god.
once again, Nate Balderas. You can find me on my social media outlets at Better Call Nate. And remember, wholesalers are no longer the enemy. The new enemy are roofers.
And I am Jovani Frank, your gracious host here at the HBR Podcast. You can find us live every single Thursday. And yes, this podcast was produced completely by ChatGPT. And you can find me on Instagram as that Jovani Frank. Until next time.